First thing you're going to want to do is go to the website or check your email for the installation instructions and the trim pattern so you know everything that you're going to be getting into. So we're going to go to classicrevolution.com, shop, stereo accessories. All of these will be available in this location now. I've uploaded the download trim PDF. There is everything you're going to need to trim. Go ahead and print that. As long as you don't change any of these settings in here, this should print 1:1, and this should be the correct size that you're going to need to trim your dash. You will be able to pull this installation manual up in all of its glory. It will walk you through all of the steps necessary. There's the trimming of the AC duct if you have air conditioning on your vehicle, and all of the necessary installation details. So when you're ready to get started with your install, first thing you're going to want to do, which I already have done here because this is my development truck and it hasn't had a gauge bezel in it for ages on any permanent level, but make sure you get your bezel out of there. I would also recommend, this is obviously a temporary dash in here because the one that I had wrapped in this is thicker in every direction and makes getting the bezel in a little bit fussy, but with one that fits like factory, the bezel fits great. It fits just like OEM. Other thing I would recommend doing is actually pulling out all these little screws along here, because when you go to put this in, you'll see that tucking that screen in here up in this upper corner was so tight, you're actually going to want to be able to lift up the dash pad a little bit to drop the bezel back into place and then set it back down to get your screws in. We'll show you more about that later. Next thing you're going to want to do is reach under here. So the mounting bracket that I designed replaces this plate. So you're going to want to pull that guy off of there. It's actually pretty easy. It just looks hard because I'm trying to hold a phone and do it one-handed. I'm using a 10mm, which is probably what all of your trucks are as well. I think some of the early round eye trucks, these would be SAE fasteners, so it'd probably be a 3/8 drive. But you're going to take this bracket off there because one, we'll be replacing it, and two, any switches that you have in there or hardware that goes in these two locations, you'll be transferring over to the new bracket that I provided. So there is how that's going to install or just map out. So then take your writing instrument of choice, Sharpie, crayon, whatever. Just make sure you got clearance in here, and you punch that little hole right up there, which will end up going roughly in that location. Obviously mine's big, it's been in development, it's had 5 iterations of this in there, and it doesn't matter how hacked up your dash is in here, as long as you have that hole, which mine still barely does, and that hole right there, then you are good to go. We are not going to reuse these clips right here, they're already missing. So those factory retaining clips, pull those out and add them to your ever-growing bin of spare Squarebody parts. We're also going to need to install this little guy right up in here. You should be able to do that with some ease. I noticed the ducts, sometimes the factory ductwork has flexed a little bit in the heat and whatnot, but that's how that pops in right there. You can finagle it in there, and it should pop in there just fine. So that's the cap for that up there. So this is a great time now, with everything out of your dash, basically nothing tucked underneath there, to wire in your harness. Now my truck has a very early version of the harness, which conveniently the plug has not changed at any of the stages of development. So this is the one you're going to receive, and the wires you need to care about the most are the yellow one, which goes to full-time battery power. The little red accessory wire, that's going to go to that's your switched power. It's going to go through your key. and black wire, ground. And this little orange wire that says IL, which is illumination. This is basically when you turn your headlights on, it's going to dim the unit. So jump that into, this is the gray wire that would normally feed the back of the of this. So that's your backlight. And so when you turn on your headlights, it's going to provide power to this, which is going to tell your touchscreen to dim a little bit. And then the only other one is your backup light. If you're going to hook up the backup camera, the only difference between what this is, that is on your harness you're going to receive a little brown wire that says back. So you're going to hook that up into your backup lights. Since this truck was once an automatic, has an automatic steering column, that wire happens to be down in the base of the steering column. If your truck is a factory manual, it will not be on the steering column, and you'll have to pull it out of the switch on the side of your transmission or out of your taillights and run the wire up to here, so that when you put your vehicle in reverse, it will switch over to the backup camera for the touchscreen. And other than that, it's a good time to wire in all of your, this is the best time to wire in all of your speakers. I just have line level speakers. I don't have any auxiliary amplifiers or anything in here. So you got the regular speaker wires wired into this harness. And once you get that done, then we'll tuck the main control unit up under the dash. And so I've got my, I've got things unboxed here. Here's the parts you're initially going to want to look for. We got our main electronics unit here with all the smarts inside of it. We have one of our mounting brackets that is going to mount to your factory throttle mounting location. And you got these two other brackets that go on the other side. Got our wiring kits in here and the screws provided. There's obviously more stuff in the kit, but this is what we're going to focus on right now. So I'm just going to jump right in. So you got this kit in here, and this mounts up against like that. So this bracket is going to mount just like this. I'm going to use these big fat head Phillips screws. Next bracket we're going to put on, it goes on the other side. That is this handy little bracket right here. These fingers go underneath to help support it. 3 bolt holes right up here. That bracket gets installed. Next one we're going to put on is this little saddle bracket. We're actually only going to put 2 of the 3 screws on this, and I will show you why we're going to do that in just a minute. Basically, we're going to start that just so it holds that screw in. Basically half a thread, 1 thread. You're going to start that just barely so that you can still get that spread out like that, and I am about to show you why. Now we need to install these 2 harnesses out of our large bag of harnesses here. So that is going to be these 2 guys we're going to install before tucking it up underneath the dash, because these are going to be really hard to access once this unit is mounted. These are the only 2. All the other connections are easy to reach up underneath there. So we're just going to do that and that. So now we've got these 2 harnesses installed. Now, whatever switches you may or may not have on your truck, if there's none, then obviously swap nothing over. I'm not even sure what this one's for. It's probably for the factory cruise control. Set that off to the side. This has all of the necessary detents and mounting locations for any of the factory options that your truck happens to come with. A little force to get that going in there because it's not pre-threaded, but it does go right in. I've got that mounted on there. We're ready to go tuck this up underneath the dash. So this is my parts truck that is missing, obviously, the part of the dash right in front of the driver, which I don't recommend you do that to your rig, but it does allow us to see what's going on up underneath the dash, to easily see what we're trying to accomplish here. So we're going to take this little saddle and this little metal rod that supports the dash, get that around there like that. And while you're reaching up underneath your dash, there is room to do this. Just apply a little pressure and pop that over that saddle. Now ultimately, where this is going to get installed is that bracket right there is going to replace the throttle retainer bracket, and that little unit's going to mount right up underneath your dash. So getting ready to tuck this up underneath the dash, I have it set up like this. My saddle in there, a little bit loose. I'm going to have these two wires come up over the top and out toward the front, and I'll show you where those get routed once we tuck this thing up underneath there. Okay, we've all got some extra wires hanging up underneath the dash of our square bodies, but tuck that up from the bottom past the factory throttle pedal and basically popped the little saddle here over this dash brace. And so now that that's popped over, you just got to flex it a little bit and it'll just pop right down over there. And I have not lined up anything else, but I got my two cables coming out toward the front. It's good enough time to hook in the radio antenna as well, right down there. No extensions or adapters needed. That'll plug right in. And now I'm going to reach up with a little shorty screwdriver and get the bottom screw of this saddle in place and just get it started. Okay, you can see how I reached up underneath here, and I actually did end up just tightening all three of these screws that hold this little saddle plate down tight. Now this can still slide on that, and that is fine. Now we're going to work on the lower part where it attaches to the throttle pedal. Okay, so I just got this aligned, this new installation bracket aligned with the factory backer plate over the top of the throttle pedal, and you'll see that the new bracket has all of the factory pieces on it for alignment. You got this hole here to align that little plastic piece on the back, and you also have this little slot here for the factory dowel pin, which is what holds this in alignment. So make sure you get these two guys lined up. First time I installed this, I had my throttle pedal off to the side a little bit and it pinched it. So make better choices than me. But once you get this installed, just tighten these screw down. It took me like a minute to reach up under here and pull that in. And you probably need to push this whole bracket and everything back toward the firewall. That's why that saddle up above is still able to slide a little bit. And push that in, and as you tighten this down, everything should fall right into alignment. Now I've got that little bracket tightened down. Looking good there. Now we're going to show you where to route those two wires that we pulled off of and routed over the top. So these two wires. Like every good square body owner, I got all kinds of spare wires in my dash from accessories over the years. So we are going to route these up to the back and tuck them to where they're sticking out right here. So then you're going to have these two wires poking out right up here, and these are going to plug into the back of the touchscreen on the bezel. So it turns out I was wrong. That's not the same plug as the old one I was using, so I just had to rewire that whole thing. So now everything's nice and accessible. good time to wire all those up and plug that guy into the unit back there. Are you even working on old trucks if you don't lacerate yourself under the dash? Had to put on a Band-Aid. Was having a hard time figuring out why there were so many red wires. Got my two 4G antennas. This is if you want to set up a cellular service for your dash unit. So basically this can function just like a cell phone if you go down to your cell phone carrier. And I know some carriers are better about this than others, but T-Mobile, Verizon, whatever the other ones are, and AT&T, and get a SIM card. You can get a SIM card dedicated to your touchscreen and basically have cell coverage to your vehicle without operating your phone wherever you go, wherever cell phones work. So these are the 4G antennas. I am going to put them in my truck and show you where they recommended putting them. Okay, so I wiped off the A-pillar, and that is where that little guy got mounted. And then I ran the wires along the little harness that runs back here, dropped them down in, and screwed them into the two locations for the 4G. There's the other one on that side. And just ran it along the harness on the top of the firewall on the inside and dropped it down in there. Doesn't matter, the antennas are exactly the same, doesn't matter which one you put on either side. But there's supposed to be two of them. So I have basically, I think, every accessory installed. I got my main power cable over here. Got my auxiliary RCAs for audio and video input and output. If you want to run auxiliary screens off the back for a Suburban or back seat or in your center console, you can run outputs. If you want additional audio inputs from like a DVD player or something, you can hook those up here. And there are multiple amplifier outputs as well. And this here is the camera, backup camera, and it comes with a forward camera as well. There's storage on the touchscreen unit on the drive, so you can store forward cam video. These two cable hookups are the auxiliary USB, which you can use to charge or to link up to the touchscreen unit. And this is your SIM card holder, which is inside here. So if you want to have 4G service on your unit, get a SIM card from your cell phone provider, pop it in there, and you're good to go. As far as the GPS antenna goes, I think on the roof somewhere would be ideal. I happen to have cab lights that would make that, I could come up through here, route along through here, down through the A-pillar, pops out right down in this area, and then you could run it over straight to the unit. That's kind of a lot, but that would probably be the ideal location. The wire is long enough that you could do that as well. However, I have just been running it basically up here. I put it kind of right on the corner underneath the dash. Really, you just don't want this obstructed by metal. So underneath the windshield, at a place in your dash pad where there isn't metal over the top of it, and that thing will work. I primarily use the GPS off of my phone while I'm doing everything, but this is standalone GPS that is included with the unit, and it also does work great. So all that matters is you put that in a place where it's not covered with metal, and it will work the best. Okay, so this is the last cable between the two that gets hooked up. This one that's integrated onto the back here. So I'm going to take this, rest it up on top of the dash. This cable is for the two USB-C ports that are on the front of the unit. Tuck that in back here. I'm going to find its little spot. So you can see where that gets installed. Just below there. So now we're ready to make the two final connections. Now we're ready to make the two final connections with this guy to those two connectors on the back of the touchscreen, and then you can cycle your key. See if you did it right. Before you end up installing your provided AC relocation or any of the two pockets provided, if you have a non-AC equipped vehicle, you're going to want to take any one of the screws in the bezel or the provided single screw, and you're going to just want to run that through these holes. These holes are just smooth. They don't have any threads cut in them yet, and they are going to be a lot easier to cut the threads in these when it's not up under the dash and you're trying to get everything lined up. Make sure you support that little tab really well with both fingers. You don't want to break them. I did try to reinforce them when I did this design, but they are still just little plastic tabs. So be careful with them, give them good support, and once the threads start cutting, that fastener will pull itself into the hole pretty well. So just run that in there enough to cut the threads. Now, threads are all cut, ready to go. And now it is time to install this little guy. So basically, you're going to install this using the top left screw, one screw for the time being, and the other two screws over here will be utilized when the final bezel goes in. Okay, I got my AC vent in there. And given how these two halves, sometimes they separate just a little bit just because of tolerances, but we got our screw hole lines up there, and cinch that up a little bit, lines up down there too. So you'll be able to reach up under the dash and make sure those get lined up when you go to get your bezel screws started. Okay, I got it down over the steering column. I reached into the back, got these plugged in. There's a little extra wire there. There's not a ton extra, but there's enough for you to get your hands back in there and work without leaving a ton hanging out in the up underneath here. So now, a couple of pointers that I have broken every single time. So you can see my switch over here is broken off, which I have done multiple times because every time I'm putting one of these in, I forget to pay attention to this corner. Get it in there, can't figure out why nothing lines up, put a little force on it and snap that guy right off. This is my second or third one of these that's in here. So be careful of that. Make sure you get your headlight switch to line up, and it is definitely, usually you can kind of flex these in and get them to pop through there. Obviously easier if you take the shaft out of your headlight switch, which there's a little button up underneath on the side to pop that out of there. But I'm gonna see if I can just get it to find its happy place. Okay, I managed to get this in there without taking anything apart. And, you know, that was already broken off in the corner up there, so I didn't have to worry about that. But you can see all of your bolt holes are going to line up just right up in there. I'll go through and show how to make sure we get those two lined up. But basically, your screws are going to go through here, go through the metal, and they're going to register in the little bosses that are part of that AC vent. And so that is when that all flexes over there into place. That's where all that's going to sit. And now the piece de resistance. Make sure we didn't screw anything up. Oh, look at that. It works. Fantastic. All right, so went around. Every screw is in there. Just take a little time. Check your alignment on things. This little clip up here that this one goes into, when I was taking things off and on, it had slid out of place and freaked me out because I didn't think that was going to line up right. But just reached in there with a little screwdriver, pushed it back over in line, got that lined up. And you'll find that the way the touchscreen and this align, the metal edge that you are bolting to falls in between the touchscreen and the bezel. So there's a teeny little section right there where it all lines up, and you can pop that in. Then this little guy down here, when you're getting those screws in, you can actually reach up under the back here and kind of help get it aligned. Obviously they're installed right now, but getting those two in there is just a little bit fussy, but you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. And that is what she looks like. Got my new vent that I installed right there. New vent installed over here. Last step, put in the ductwork. This is how we're going to modify our lower AC duct on trucks equipped with air conditioning. So this sits up under the dash just like this. You got this facing forward going into the factory left side AC vent, and this coming out of the AC heater box. This is the side that faces the driver. This is the side that faces the firewall. So I'm going to lay this down, map out the little hole we need to do. This measures 10 1/4. Got a 10 1/4 from that side. Then 2 inches straight down, just kind of hooking on the top there. That's going to be the center line of the hole we're going to cut. And I think the kit recommends 2 3/4. This is 2 5/8, 2 1/2. Anywhere in there is going to be fine. And we're going to line that up, cut it through the magic of television. Da da da. Stacy would be so proud, and James Cameron probably too. Anyway, I already cut this one. This one's out of my 86. This one I think is out of my 77 Suburban. They are slightly different visually, but they look to be directly mechanically interchangeable. So, doesn't matter which one you got. Punch that little hole in there. Clean up any burrs you got on the outside, because that'll need to slide past the little foam seal on the AC vent that was provided in your kit. So when you go to put this in, you're going to tuck it up underneath there. You're going to push it all the way over there to that oblong situation that this is going to align with. And the thing you need to be careful with is tucking it in between this bracket and this right here, because this has a good amount of leverage on it. That's the back of your new AC vent, and so if you put too much pressure on this, you could break the little tabs holding it on up top. So you can totally get this in, you just gotta be a little careful, go a little slow, and you can tuck this duct right up in there. So I had to set my phone down to get it in there. But you can see I have this partially in place. We are lined up on the heater box section back in there with that large oblong duct path, and it is touching our new duct up in there. But you depress your pedals just a little bit, apply some pressure on this, it'll push your pedals on just a hair, and that'll give you the room you need to rotate this from this up into place. And just be mindful of that that new duct tucked back down in there. I know you can't tell how much time has elapsed, but that probably only took me 3 or 4 minutes to get tucked up in there. The real only tricky part really is getting this oblong interface to line up. And sometimes you got to reach up behind here, kind of manipulate it a little bit. As soon as you get it to line up, it'll pop into place and you can slide this entire duct toward the passenger side, which then gives you room to push it up on this side past the parking brake lever. And right now everything is up there in place. You can see your new AC duct right here, sealed on the face of it, lined up with that hole that we punched in it earlier. Now you've got 2 functional lower AC ducts. Got touchscreen you can hook your phone up to, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, backup cameras. There are actually 6 camera inputs into this. You can do 360 degree, the overhead vertical view when you're backing up, moving around, forward camera, rear camera, multiple pre-outs for amplifiers, video outputs for additional monitors elsewhere in the vehicle, has video inputs from other things like DVD players or something if you wanted to hook up to it. And that is the fit and the finish. Remember, this is set up so that this is Android Auto, so you can download anything from the Google Play Store and store it on there, and you can store all your music on board. So you don't even have to have your phone hooked up. You can hook up 4G to it with a SIM card, so you can have your own service. It has Wi-Fi input, so every time you pull up to your house, it can download everything that's new, as well as you can hook it up to your phone, use your phone as a hotspot, and stream through your head unit.